good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. I see we have a couple of people here joining us today. So my name is Xiara. I'm one of the assistant directors here at Skidmore. Um, I use she, they pronouns, and I'm originally from the Bronx and Harlem in New York City, and that's a little bit about me. If y'all could take it away and maybe do a little introduction of yourselves.
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone, I'm Katya. I'm a rising senior here at Skidmore. I'm a double major in theater and psychology with a minor in business. I'm involved in a lot of research on campus, primarily in the clinical psychology lab, and I'm doing some research here over the summer. I also work in the writing center where I'm one of the head tutors, and and also have been involved in a lot of theater department productions as well as the musical theater club.
Hi everyone, my name is Palden. I'm from Bhutan. I am an econ business double major. I currently work in the economics department as a student assistant. I also currently work for Skidmore Admissions and also the on-campus teaching museum, which is called the Tang Teaching Museum.
Nice. All right, so we will go ahead and get started today. Um, so Skidmore College. So Skidmore is a private liberal arts institution, if you don't know already. We're gonna learn today a lot about Skidmore, and just go through all of the different pieces from, student life to academic life to Saratoga Springs. So let's actually start there with Saratoga Springs. So Saratoga Springs, New York is where Skidmore is located. We're about 3 hours away from New York City, Boston, and Montreal. It's a small, walkable, and very eccentric, eclectic kind of city. There's lots to do. Other folks might call it a town, right? Um, Big focus in the area is health, arts, and culture. So there's lots of museums, springs, access to nature and the outdoors. In terms of public transportation, we have a variety of ways where folks can get around. Students have access to the public bus, which is connected to the capital region. That is kind of the region that we're in. And so all students can get in free with their Skidmore ID on the bus. And they can also utilize bikes in the area for free. We're close to the Amtrak. It's about 10 minutes away from campus, which is a train that can take you pretty much anywhere around the US. And so you have access to that about 10 minutes away. And like I said, you have access to New York, Boston, and Montreal. We're about 3 hours away from all of those. And I didn't mention this earlier, but oh, I see that you can't see my screen. Let's see. Can we see the screen now? Perfect. Nice. So I talked a little bit about Saratoga already, but just kind of to recap, we're in a small city, a big focus in health, arts, and culture. Public transportation is very accessible. And we're about 3 hours away from New York City, Boston, and Montreal. Um, Other things, in the Saratoga Springs area, I mean, there's anywhere from museums to movies. I know a lot of students love thrifting in the area. There's cafes, to do work in or just to hang out. Um, and you can see here, like, this is kind of our location, right near Albany. It's about 40 minutes away from us. So yeah, that's a little bit about the area. Katya, Palden, is there anything that you would mention, maybe like about the area that you particularly enjoy, um, that was like a highlight for you, especially within your first year at Skidmore, maybe?
I would say people here are very nice. Like there's very like nice relationship between the Skidmore students and the Saratoga residents, and so like a lot of them come to our on campus events, and then like would like just in town you see them, they're friendly, they're saying hi. Like there are a lot of different events for the community where Skidmore students are invited as well. Yeah, and I think I like Cafe Lena a lot, which is like a music venue we have here. Just has like smaller scale performances. They're really chill, and yeah, a lot of people go there to just like enjoy like an evening of music and like eat some food. Yeah.
I think I personally like the fact that downtown is only like a 15-minute walk away. Like you, obviously there's like public transportation and stuff, but my friends and I, we usually just walk downtown. And once we get downtown, as you mentioned, it's like a very walkable city. It is a small city, but also at the same time, there's like a lot to do. There's like a lot of cool vintage stores around, thrift stores, and a lot of beautiful cafes. So I think like the best part is just being able to like walk downtown because it's not really far away from campus.
Nice. Yeah, that was a good point, Paulden. Like the walk is also super what is the word that I like to use? Like visually stimulating. There's really nice houses that you can kind of look at, listen to music, walk with friends. So good point. All right. So kind of moving into like what campus life is like and a little bit about academics. So here you can see kind of a visual of our campus. There's a really nice like overview of the campus. I would say walking from one end to the other end of campus is about 15 minutes. So it's again very walkable. And Skidmore, again, is a residential space, right? So we're home to around 2,700 students, specifically undergraduate students who mostly live on campus. And we'll talk a little bit more about res life a little bit later. But yeah, this is kind of what the space looks like. It is very green, and I love it in the summer because there's lots of birds tweeting and chirping. All right, so the demographics of our community, right? So again, we have 2,700 undergraduate students here at Skidmore, making sure our time, resources, and energy are going there. There's representation from over 60 countries, and 14% of international students, dual citizens, and global residents here at Skidmore. You can see on the right hand side, the image of the second floor student center. This is typically what the student center looks like, probably usually like in the afternoon, evening. Folks are getting together, either meeting for clubs, hanging out, and things like that. So this is just what the student center looks like on a day. And this is our dining hall. And we really wanted to include a lot of visuals. But this is our dining hall. The dining hall is very big, and right in front of it, you can see the big green. The green is where a lot of folks will hang out. You'll typically in the summer see people with hammocks, people playing frisbee. Frisbee is really popular. And of course, dogs. There's always dogs on campus. So this is kind of what campus looks like, right near the dining hall. This is also pretty close to that student center that we showed you in the last picture. So a little bit about engaging more in the Skidmore community, right? There's so many different types of clubs here at Skidmore, and student life is comprised of so many different parts. That could look like being a part of, one, two, or 80 of the 120 clubs that are offered here at Skidmore. But that could also look like being involved in student leadership, right? Like Palden and Katya, who are, working in admissions, or other folks who are, working in student government to improve student relations and things like that. It could look like becoming an RA, right? So, how you build out your social life is completely up to you, but there's so many different types of clubs, academic focus clubs, visual, inter and multicultural clubs, student government association, which a lot of our international students are also involved in, philanthropy focused clubs, and more. And then you can even see like a little bit of a breakdown of our cultural clubs that we offer here, if that's something that you'd want to get connected with. But this is a little bit of the representation of the clubs here at Skidmore. Overall, other things that you should know about like club life and student life is that it's super flexible, right? You, as a college student, get to dictate what your schedule looks like, what you're involved in, and how you want to navigate your 4 years at Skidmore, right? And so that could be being involved in many clubs. It could be, doing a whole bunch of different things. But the great thing about it is that it's very flexible, right? It has a very non-committal nature to club life. So you don't, need to be at every single club meeting. Rather, you have the option to kind of drop in and out as you need. Of course, other than some of our audition-based clubs. right, who have a little bit more of a commitment, or some of our athletic clubs that have a little bit more commitment for competitions and things like that. Otherwise, very engaging. Other things you should know is that we don't have any Greek life at Skidmore, so we don't offer any fraternities or sorority life here. But again, most students are really getting engaged with each other through clubs, but also through classes, through the residential community, through RA events and things like that. And before we kind of move on to academic exploration, Katya and Palden, can you talk a little bit about what student life has been like for you at Skidmore? Maybe like anything that you would highlight about your experience here.
Yeah, I can start. So, it's definitely been great just like to engage in so many opportunities for leadership because, like the student government really encourages students to like, like start their clubs or like take up like, like leadership positions within clubs. So even like starting like my freshman year, like I was able like to explore clubs not just like as like a part of like my social life, but also, have like being on the e-board, for example, like being like a vice president or like a president of something. So it's really great just like to build like skills that like you will then use in life, as in like leadership, organization, and how to just like get stuff done.
I think for me, the biggest thing was being able to like meet new people. I was involved with like a couple of cultural clubs on campus last semester. I am currently on the e-board of International Student Union and Hayat, which is our South Asian club on campus. I was regularly attending all of their gatherings, all of their events, which, as you mentioned, like it's not necessary. Like you do not have to show up if you don't want to, but I showed up and I was able to connect, meet with a lot of friends. And I think that's where I found most of my friends as well.
Nice. Thank you. All right, so moving on into academic exploration and autonomy and what that looks like here at Skidmore. So generally, to give you the overview, um, we have six very popular majors across humanities, arts, and sciences. So that is business, biology, psychology, studio art, political science, English, and environmental sciences and studies. And within that range, again, you'll notice that there are highlights in the arts, the sciences, and the humanities. They're all super important here at Skidmore and really well resourced. And something that I really love, that I think, in the title it says that academic exploration and autonomy, right? Students at Skidmore are really able to dive deep into all of the different interests that they have. And because we are focused, our liberal arts focused institution, you're going to be encouraged and maybe sometimes challenged to take classes in areas that you may not have before, and maybe you didn't even want to, right? But what it does is that it helps you dip your toes in different areas. And for a lot of students that has either, started up a new minor that they wanted to take or a complete switch up in their major. Sometimes it's just in addition, right? Right? Maybe you came in focused on psychology, and that's what you wanted to do, but you took an art class that you really liked, and now you're gonna start a studio art minor as well, right? So super common at Skidmore. We have about a third of our students involved in both arts and sciences. So if you're the type of person that has like a lot of interest, you're super dynamic, this is definitely a good place for that. In terms of double majoring and minoring, I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but you can do up to two majors and three minors here at Skidmore. And Skidmore students are not afraid of doing that. A lot of folks will be involved in multiple majors and multiple minors. So it is pretty common here. We offer both bachelors of arts and sciences in different areas. And when we're talking about STEM and arts, again, I just wanted to mention quickly that even within that, focus within STEM and arts, specifically for STEM, economics does count as STEM here at Skidmore. So it's a part of the STEM focused cohort. So if you're interested in STEM and economics is something that you're interested in and want to pursue, you can definitely do that here, aka Palden, who's already doing that. In addition to that, there's lots of opportunities for research. Research can start for you as soon as your second semester of your first year. I think the reason for that is because one, we're a smaller institution, and two, we focus on the undergraduate population, right? And so because of that, there's no competition with with folks in grad school. There's no competition with, seniors also because we're a smaller school. We're not an R1 school, but there's a lot of research happening at a very high level, in a super collaborative way. So you can definitely get engaged and start that super early. And the last thing in terms of academic exploration and autonomy is that we have a lot of academic to career support. Our international student population can take up jobs here on campus, as well as internships. So if that's something that you would be interested in, you were worried about, know that it is an opportunity here. So I think I talked a little bit about everything. But one thing I didn't talk about was our class sizes. So Skidmore, again, because it's a smaller school, we have pretty small class sizes. On average, the class size is 16 with an 8-to-1 student faculty ratio. So this is a great space for folks who, really thrive or are looking for smaller classroom sizes where you're going to be able to have dialogue with your peers, connect with your peers and with the material, but also build like strong relationships with your professors. So that's a little bit kind of just about academics generally at Skidmore. Katya and Palden, is there anything that you would add, like from your perspective, that you think is important for the crowd to know?
Yeah, I mean, I would just like talk about like myself as an example. I came in
Yeah.
like knowing that I want to study psychology, and that was like it was going to be one of my majors. And then I was like, yeah, but like I want a double major. I have like a lot of other interests, but I don't know like what it's going to be yet. And so but after I got here, I started, get engaged with the theater department and really liked it. And so like by, mid semester, like my first semester, I was like, oh, I want to be like a theater major as well. And then my business minor came in like honestly like just like this like past year. So like my junior year, I decided that, oh, I've been taking like business classes. Is really like complementing my interest within psychology really well as well, because I'm focused on like organizational stuff. And so that's how I decided to add on a minor. So it's very flexible. You don't, again, like as Xiara said, you don't have to like know right away, and kind of like can take your time and or change your mind and so on.
I think I'm also someone who came determined of like what I wanted to take. Like I came here knowing that I wanted to take economics, but that's not the case with like most of my friends here. Like most students, they come here wanting to explore as many like courses as possible to see what they want to major in. You have until like the end of your sophomore year to decide what you want to major in. So it gives you plenty of time to like explore different options as well. The business major idea came along because, like, as I was taking like courses for econ, I realized that the same courses that I'm taking for econ can also fulfill requirements for business. So I'm like fulfilling like requirements for both of my majors. So I talked to my advisor, and she was like, you could totally do like a double major. Also, you need 120 credits to like graduate from Skidmore. And that means like you can squeeze in as many classes as possible. It's like a lot of classes. So you could easily like complete like a double major and then like also add on minors if you want to.
Nice, yeah. All right. And I just want to, give a shout out that if there are any questions, um, just feel free to pop those in the chat. Right. So kind of a little bit more on academics to give you a visual of one of our academic buildings. This is the Billy Tisch Center for Integrated Sciences. Um, Recent is a strong word maybe, but it recently was renovated. And really the focus was to have an interdisciplinary hub, and really mesh all of our sciences and integrate them quite literally into one space. And so here you'll see that there are 24 research labs, 26 teaching labs, and 9 classrooms within the Billy Tisch Center for Integrated Sciences, which we call CIS. And lots of folks will be in there studying. Another thing that I really love about Billy Tisch Center for Integrated Sciences is the Idea Lab. The Idea Lab is a maker space where, you can come in, and I've seen people sewing, outfits for Comic-Con, which is like this comic, I don't know, um what is it, convention or so. But I've also attended a class where they were teaching us how to make sneakers. There was also a collaborative event between Raices, one of our, like, similar to an LSA or Latin Student Association, with the Idea Lab, and they created piñatas. So there's a lot of collaboration, but just a lot of resources within that space too. All right. And so for the admissions process, and deadlines. So in terms of the process, right? The first thing is submitting your Common App or Coalition app. If you know about QuestBridge, that may be an option for you too. Um, and you'll submit your application through those areas that we partner with. And things to note is that we don't offer any supplements, right? No supplemental essays. So if you feel limited by this, know that you can always email us with additional information and share that with us through email, and we'll attach it to your application. But really, this is just to limit or to delete one of those extra barriers to pressing submit on your application. Next, we are also SAT and ACT optional. We've been optional for over 12 years now, and around 64% of students who were admitted last year did not submit SATs or ACTs. So that's just kind of to give you that extra reassurance that if SATs and ACTs is not something that's that works for you, that you would like to take on, you don't have to submit them here at Skidmore. But if you do, that's great, and it will be reviewed. The next step is that you'll submit a Duolingo, TOEFL, or IELTS scores. And then finally, this is an optional thing, but you can do an interview, and that'll be through Initial View, Vericant, or Duolingo. For folks thinking about submitting tests and things like that, Duolingo is a great option. It's one of the more affordable options if that's something of concern for you. And then moving on to deadlines and statistics, right? So we have three different types of application deadlines. We have early decision 1, early decision 2, and regular decision. And you can see the deadlines here, but the early decision 1 deadline is November 1st, whereas the early decision 2 and regular decision deadline share a date of January 8th. Overall, we have around a 23% admit rate. We get about 12,000 applications per year, give or take. It kind of depends every year, but in 2024, we did receive on average 12,000 applications. That's just to give you, kind of a number of how many applications we're getting per year. And then lastly, in terms of financial aid, we do meet 100% of demonstrated need. And I'd like to specify that we meet 100% of calculated need, because that is calculated by the financial aid office here at Skidmore. And that is either through the CSS profile, right, or through the ISFA. And so you have to submit at least one of those. But that is really it on the admissions process and deadlines. And then yeah, thank you for joining us. This is our information. I'll keep this up for a couple of seconds, but are there any questions, anything that we can answer? Katya, Palden, anything else that we can, talk about that you think is important for anyone to know?
I think the main thing is like how stressed people can get with like the application process and stuff. Like Skidmore does make it very easy with the fact that you don't need like supplemental essays and all. And also what I found really useful is before I even got to Skidmore, like when I was applying, I was emailing Darren a lot. And then Darren, like he used to reply to all of my emails. I had many, many questions, and he was always there to like answer the questions. So I think like it's not a bad idea to reach out to like anyone in admissions. It could be like us students as well. It's not a bad idea to like just reach out with like even like very like silly questions in a way, like something that you do not understand about the admissions process. Everyone will always be there to like like, reply and answer back to your questions. I think my biggest fear was, what if this affects my application like process? What if they think that, like, I don't even know how to figure out like this thing, like how am I going to be like a strong applicant and stuff? But at the end of the day, it really does not matter. Like people are there to like help you.
Yeah, and Paulden, I really appreciate you for kind of like speaking on that because I think the admissions process generally is super, super complicated. It can be super complicated, and there's a lot of moving parts. And it can be sometimes confusing. Things, maybe things aren't as clear or just not, not understood well. So I would definitely stress that what you said, definitely reach out. It could be students, it could be, admission staff, both, right? We're here to answer any and all questions because we know that this can be not only an overwhelming process, but maybe sometimes stressful. And on the other hand, also exciting, right? It comes with a lot of feelings. A lot of things to manage. So please, if you do have any questions, yes, do reach out. And thanks, Paulden, for that. All right, we got one question through the Q&A, and that is, are there any special traditions or events that students really love? So we have a lot of traditions and events. My favorites are food oriented because I love food. So we have themed dinners in the dining hall. They've done so many different themes, like Mario Kart theme. They've done a New York City theme, a Mardi Gras theme, a harvest dinner. So I love anything with food and themes, but Katya and Paulden, what are your like favorite traditions or just things that you like, even if they're events?
Um, my favorite one is Skidmania, which is our big annual concert. It happens each November and it celebrates music from 50 years before. So last year it was like a bunch of songs from 1974 across all genres. Some of them were like performed as like solos or duets. Others were like big, like 30 people numbers. But like very, very cool. And yeah, everyone, like the tickets get like sold out immediately. Like people like wait for that event, like they want to see it. A lot of Saratoga Springs just community members come and see it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just like a very lovely and very professionally put together performance.
I will say I couldn't get tickets the last 2 years for Skidmania, so yeah. Get your tickets early if you come to Skidmore. Paulden, I saw you were gonna say
Yeah,
something.
I think for me, the first thing that most students talk about is like Earth Day, which is basically like Earth Day, like you have a lot of clubs like setting up tables, like where you can get like free stuff and all. And then there's like a couple of performances by all of like the dance clubs, like choir clubs on campus. And then there's also an opportunity for like students to sell their own like creation or making, like if you make like crocheting stuff, like if you make jewelry, a lot of students do tend to like sell those as well. As an international, I can speak for my highlight of like my um freshman year. It was like the Boston trip. So International Student Union Club, we organized this thing called like the Boston trip during one of the weekends. So we gather like as many international students as possible and then take everyone downtown, I mean like Boston, and then there like we get to do our own things and like come back. I think as an international, it was like a great opportunity because like you go with your friends and then you explore the city and then you come back together as a team again. So I think that was something that I really, really liked.
I love that. That sounds so cute. Like y'all were able to just connect with each other and spend some time together. That's really nice. All right, so we don't have any other questions. Um, and we're finished quite early, so I just want to make space if anything does come in. Um, but if you are ready to go, you feel like you got your answers, feel free to head out of the Zoom, and just thank you for being with us today. We got another question. So is the food in the dining hall good? I'll let y'all answer that.
Yeah, we were ranked number 7 among like the nation's dining halls, so the food here is pretty great. It's made in house, so like Skidmore makes everything from scratch, like right there. It's also a great employment opportunity for students. Like a lot of first years, for example, like work in the dining services as their like first Skidmore job. It's great. I did it. Like I learned so many cooking skills. It was lovely. But yeah, the food here is pretty good. There are a lot of options. We have like I know like maybe like about like 7 different stations um where you can get like all kinds of food. Like we have a global cafe station where it's just like every day like there's like food from like all over the world. So like one day it'll be like Chinese, next day Polish, next day I know Indonesians or something. So it's pretty great, and also for international students, kind of like an opportunity to reconnect with like their like home food right there in the dining hall. And we also have a bunch of kind of like dietary restriction specific food. So like we have a whole station called -9, which doesn't have any of the 9 major allergens in there. We have Emily's Garden, which is vegan/vegetarian station. And even like within the other stations, like for example within the pizza station, there are always like vegan and vegetarian options as well. So yeah, it's pretty. The food here is pretty good. Yeah.
I
I
also
think,
put,
yeah,
sorry, Palden.
sorry. I think the one thing is you will always find something to eat. Like, some days are obviously like better than like the other days. Some days like the options are like really good. But even if you don't like certain options, you can always go to like another station. You will always find something to eat. There's like a lot of stations. So
Yeah, as someone who loves food, I will say there's a lot of different options. And if you want to check out like what the dining hall is serving, you can actually check out the dining hall menu and just see what they're serving. So if you want to click that link, I put that in the chat. All right, y'all. So I think we're gonna end here. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Katya and Palden, for being here and sharing like a little bit of your perspective. And thank you everyone who joined us today.